The Redskins. But they also had a quarterback on that team, and all of us is probably too young to remember, but since I'm a football historian, I was able to look it up, and I think Alan Levine will be able to appreciate this. Quarterback by the name of Bobby Douglas on that Kansas
Chicago
team.
Bears.
You remember, Chip?
Yes, I do.
He was a
Bobby
tough guy.
Bobby Douglas ran for 968 yards in the NFL in one season. That record stood for 34 years until Michael Vick went over 1,000 yards in one season. But they had a tight end on that team as well. And 220-pound tight end by the name of Larry Brown for the Pittsburgh Steelers. And Larry Brown, who's a hero of mine, he was an outstanding tight end for the Pittsburgh Steelers, but because of the great Chuck Noll, even caught a touchdown in the Super Bowl. Chuck Noll said, the way you block, you could be an all-world offensive tackle. So he put 60 pounds on in 1 year, and his waistline never went above 32. He was probably the most V-shaped offensive lineman of all time. I thought he played at a Hall of Fame level on the offensive line, winner of 4 Super Bowl rings, and a member of one of the greatest college teams of all time, that 68 Kansas Jayhawk team.
Nice. Good call, Jim. Good
And
call.
that's what's on my mind.
I couldn't follow you. I got lost. I don't know if the heat's heating up out there or what, you two on that sandbox. You're not playing yet. Not playing in the sandbox.
So Larry Brown was part of all 4 Super Bowls.
Yep, sir.
You can revisit that,
Was he on the
Zach.
practice squad?
You can revisit that. You can revisit that. There is that segment. Chip, with no further ado, welcome back from the vacation. They're trying to get out of the sandbox. I'm not letting them.
Okay.
What's on your
What's
mind?
on my mind? You know what? Spoken Jim mentioned something about the resurgence of the Pirates, and I'll get to that in a minute. But, you know, and he mentioned a certain player on the Pirates, and I'd like to wish him a happy birthday, Josh Harrison. It's his birthday today, so happy
27.
birthday, Jay. Hey,
27.
keep on rocking. Also like to give a big birthday shout out to something that's near and dear to all of us. July 8th, 1933 was when the Pittsburgh Steelers were born. Happy birthday, Pittsburgh Steelers. Huh?
Yeah.
Let's not forget about that.
And don't forget the winning horse race that helped them to pay that $3,000. Horse races.
Well, you know,
Little fiction and fact for my almanac.
yeah. So you know, well, you want to know what's on my mind. I
Yes.
think it's obvious about my passion for the Pittsburgh Pirates, and I've never lost faith in them. I've been driving the bandwagon for going on 3 years now, and I'm proudly sitting up front with my my head beaming because the Pirates swept the Phillies this weekend, put themselves back into title contention. They are actually now a legitimate contender for the Central Division crown. 4.5 games back. Last night, very well played game between the Pirates and the Cardinals. Pirates came up a little short. Justin Wilson hung a curveball and it ended up in the seats. But, you know, the Pirates, since May 2nd, have the best record in baseball. And right now, the Pirates with the you know, bringing up Gregory Polanco, they have depth. They've got arguably the fastest outfield in baseball. They've got a lot of depth. They've cut bait with a couple of players that they were hoping to count on this year. Wandy Rodriguez, they trotted him out, gave him enough chances, and they decided to eat his contract. Did the same thing with Jose Tabata. Jose Tabata basically played his way off the team. Travis Snyder played his way on the team. He's a great asset as a pinch hitter coming off the bench, and he's fit that role very, very well. You know, right now, I'm excited because Francisco Liriano will be back before the All-Star game, ahead of schedule. Last night, lights out, pitching for the Indianapolis Indians. He pitched 6 innings. He threw 76 pitches. He gave up 3 hits, no runs, and he retired the last 15 batters he faced and struck the last 5 out.
For who?
The Indianapolis Indians. That's the Pirates AAA team. He pitched so well, as a matter of fact, the manager of the team said that he had the stuff that he had last year, and this goes into what I felt was Liriano's problem all year. He started out the year, pulled a hamstring, the week before the opener, and I think that he'd been pitching hurt all year, which has affected his control. I think this last month, getting him rehabbed, getting him healthy again, could make a big, big difference for the Pirates. But I'm really excited for the second half of the season. Looking forward to the Pirates battling for the division crown and, at the very least, a wild card position. That's what's on my mind.
And one player has made the difference.
You're stealing my line, Smoking Jim. I'm glad I talked last on this. I actually did want to bring up soccer. I almost was going to apologize, but I'm not going to. We'll revisit that soccer thing.
Sure.
Zach already alluded to something that I saw. What's on my mind is I've never done this before. I got invited to a party by John Nieder to watch MMA championship fights. Wow. I've never seen them before on UFC. On UFC.
They're like at UFC like 171, so there's been 171 of them.
I missed them.
You missed
Is
all
what I'm telling you.
170.
He didn't get that memo.
No.
So you don't know who Chuck the Iceman Liddell is? You don't,
No,
you
I've
don't
read
know
about
any of
him,
these
but
Rampage Jackson.
well, let me get to my story.
All right.
I like Ronda Rousey.
Yes,
Not just
sir.
because she's cute, but she is unbelievable in the cage. She's all business, and 16 seconds into it, she knocked Davis. I say she knocked her out with a punch, because she did hit her with a punch. Then she hit her with a knee, and then she pummeled her only 9 times. How do I know? I counted it, because there were only 16 seconds. I was still fresh watching it, and the referee stopped it. I thought maybe a little soon, but she was unconscious.
But her 8 fights before that, she put her opponents in the armbar and submitted them.
Well,
so
exactly.
This is the first time she knocked one of them down.
And she has, I think, all under a minute, like 6 of those fights under a minute. So then I wait around. We're watching all these other fights. Cody's one friend, Faber, he fought and won. So out of the same gym,
Yeah,
Cody,
right.
who called in on here. So that was nice to see. Then Mike Weideman, they're pumping him up how great he is, and he is. Well, Machado from Brazil put up one heck of a strategy. He had this strategy. He kept doing patty cakes. They're punching each other, and he's putting his hands back and forth and frustrated Weideman. Then he actually hit him a couple times and hurt him. And you could tell even in the interview, he said, they go, have you been hurt, in the fight? He goes, you could say that. So he was hurt a couple.
Weiderman.
Yeah, he hurt him in the fight.
Yeah, but Wiedemann
Whatever.
Put out the
Weideman.
spider.
You
put out
call
the
him whatever.
spider-
You call him
Put out the spider
Indian.
Silva twice.
Well, I'm
So-
saying by what I saw, whatever the history of it was, I just thought it was fascinating to see it.
Well,
Machado, you can revisit my thing, but
I'm really excited that you got to go and experience that and watch that. 'Cause
Well, on
if I
pay-per-view.
had I known that you never got to see that,
Yeah.
I would have invited you to Munhall years ago if I'd known you had that kind of interest.
you know
in
what?
The
These are
cage.
the type of things you learn on our show, Pittsburgh Sportsline. And, of course, a shout-out, if we don't get to it, to the Pittsburgh Power. Last night, 10 in a row. They had a squeaker there. They won by 5 points, but a win's a win. So, that's what counts. And also with Go Passion, the Pittsburgh Passion, they're in the semifinals, and we're hoping they can make it to the championship there. As I predicted, they're winning it this year. So, Go Passion. That was early in the year. That's what's on my mind. Let's go to that revisitation here.
Hey, I just want to comment about something Alan brought up on the Pittsburgh Power. Tommy Grady has thrown 102 touchdown passes this season for the Pittsburgh Power. And for his career, after last night's game, he has thrown 499 touchdown passes. Next game he plays, he will be the second quarterback to hit 500 touchdown passes in professional football history. Now, I know the arena football
It's
does not
different.
measure up,
Yeah, it's
does
different.
not measure up to the NFL,
Correct.
but I would know in any sport, I don't
Right.
care. 500 touchdowns, that's an
Wow.
accomplishment.
Oh, yeah.
So,
And he was a guest on our show and predicted a changing
Well,
culture,
guess-
a
hey,
winning
Great
culture.
Carver.
Hey,
Again.
a kid just got a double in the NBA Summer League. We get a shout out to that. I mean, it's arena football, man. It's a joke. That's the most worst football I've ever seen in my
What
life.
are you hearing
I-
voices over there?
I would
We
pray
didn't
to
even
God.
mention NBA.
I would pray to God that man who stands about 6'4", 200 with chicken legs can throw.
6'4", he's like
6'6". Yeah,
6'7" maybe.
Yeah.
Well,
He's a tall boy.
Hey,
But you know, just to kind of trample on Zach's parade, unfortunately, he got it wrong. It's going to be the Argentinian team and the Germans playing for the World Cup this Sunday.
You predicted Argentina will win it
Lionel
all.
Messi is arguably the best soccer player on the planet, and I think he's going to shine. He's been shining for the Argentine team. The Argentina has some history with Germany, but it was with West Germany, which happened, I believe, back in
86.
early in the 80s when West Germany came back and beat Argentina in the semifinal rounds of the Cup. Now, it's ironic that Argentina has not made it to the semifinals since 1990, and the last time the German team made it to the semifinal round was in 1990. That would be the last time that the Germans won the World Cup.
Well, let me ask you guys this, not to
Just interrupt Zach.
Yeah.
The debate.
not to just cut in, but I was just thinking, you know, if I was a general manager and I had a switchblade, Josh Gordon would be cut from Cleveland. What would you guys do?
Well, you know, the first thing I would cut from Josh Gordon's life is his agent, Drew Rosenhaus, because I don't know what's worse for him, his substance abuse.
It's the
or
agent's fault. It's Drew Rosenhaus' fault.
Drew
This
Rosenhaus,
grown man.
Scumbag of the worst order.
This grown man.
And I
Drew
think that
Rosenhaus
Josh
is a
Gordon,
scumbag because
what
he
needs
gets the
to
most
do is
money
they
for
need
his
to
clients.
Get him into rehab. This young man is heading down a dangerous slope, and he's going to end up dead or in jail one of these days real soon. He's got all kinds of problems.
Yeah, when your teammates are tweeting out, help this young man, it may be beyond help. So
Well, you know,
pray for him.
Look at it this way. All he did was get arrested for DUI, fail a whole bunch of drug tests, and you're thinking he should be cut when the Baltimore Ravens haven't cut Ray Rice for beating the snot out of his wife. His girlfriend.
And they're not going to cut Ray Rice either. So, you know what? Josh Gordon might still be in the league.
Because he's
I'm
all pro.
on the record. I'm against domestic violence, whether it's against women or men, and there's no tolerance for that. You guys can make up every excuse you want. You can get silly. You can kick sand in your faces, but I'm against domestic violence.
But-
that was a fact.
In all
That was a
seriousness.
fact.
Both of them should be.
In all
Well, I
seriousness.
don't care what happens to them, but it shouldn't happen to people and women and men and
No, not at
all
all.
these
I
other
agree with
things.
you.
But
So
if
whatever
you,
the
if
rules
anybody,
are.
back to the soccer. I know that Smoking Jim Fraser gets bored during the soccer talk, but back to the soccer. Do not write off the Dutch. The Dutch have something to say about this
writing them
game,
off.
Chip. You know, Messi might be the greatest player, but it's a team game, and do not write off the Dutch because the Dutch up front are as dangerous as anybody in the World Cup tournament. And
I have a question. What minute should I start watching one of those games? So I'll see this action.
well, if you tuned into the 18th minute, that's when fireworks happened today for Germany, where they just
okay,
absolutely
but how will I
exploded
know?
on Brazil.
I want a little scorecard on what. Like the other day, I got invited to the Brenner household again for a huge party with the Floridian Brenner clan come up. So it was nice. Shout out to all of them. They watch our show. But I watched all these penalty kicks. I thought it was the greatest thing in history to see everybody kicking and almost scoring. The goaltender was playing great, and I thought that's how soccer should be played.
Well, to be honest with you, that's part of the World Cup that I would like to see change. I think to determine the outcome of a game at this level, it would be kind of like, like what they do in overtime in college football. Say in a college football national championship, they go into overtime and they, here's what I think they should do with soccer, and I think it would make it better. Play sudden death. Just like they do in hockey games. Just keep playing until somebody scores. Somebody
They might
wins.
really die.
Hey, you know what?
200 minutes. There'll be fans. Do you know what they do at the stadiums? There'll be people dropping in the
Did any
stands.
German fans get killed because they said that they was afraid for their lives with the Brazilian?
Well, in the Amazon, think about it. Reporters couldn't get there. The police couldn't get there. The army couldn't get there. They built a place in the jungle, and they said, we don't care if you're from the north and you never see over 50 degrees. Go in the Amazon. It's 110, and there's bugs bigger than your kids. And that's what happened. There's people that died we're never going to hear about.
Wow.
They don't report it. They're like you when you report. You're only
You're like
allowed to
Fox
write
News.
about certain people.
And don't go swimming in the rivers.
You can only write about certain people. Same with them. If you're poor down in Brazil, you're dead. and they don't talk about you. It's sad. That is a third world nation, my friend.
And hey, and on another note, I know my
On a
friend
happier note.
Jim here will be glad to hear that I know he'll be reporting to us regularly. 17 days when training camp opens up for the Pittsburgh Steelers. And I really am actually looking forward to the Steelers this year. They kind of blew up the team, which they needed to do. They got rid of all the old slow players. Now we got a bunch of young ones. We don't know if they can play football or not. Time will tell.
They're fast though, Jim. They're fast.
Except
They
for
might
one.
over pursue. You might think they're slow, but they're fast.
Too slow, Jarvis Joe.
He's still too slow.
I think he's faster. I think he's faster than you give him credit for.
No, that's too much. And Smoking Jim, I don't know what subject you were actually talking about on your. What's on your mind? The one you finished with, the one you started, or the one you ran off the reservation in the middle?
I mean, I was impressed with I took notes. I was impressed with the Larry Brown, that he went from 220 pounds, he bulked up 60 pounds and still had a 32-inch waistline. Michael Vick with the 1,000 yards, you know.
Bobby
for
Douglas.
34 years it took to break that from the Kansas Jayhawks to the 60s, you know. The 84 under on the Buckers, but now he's all in.
But you know what I seem to remember? I watched the Steelers, especially the linemen, because I was a lineman, and I don't remember him having a 32-inch waist. Okay, he was a lot bigger than that. He was huge. Matter of fact, I was near him during a game after the game. He was huge. I mean, completely. I think his thighs were 32 inches, to be honest with you. He was a big dude. And he was a great offensive lineman.
Do we have an NBA segment?
Here, let me put that in. I wasn't going to, but
Well, no, because I mean, we'll talk.
are we
about it.
freewheeling
Yeah,
here?
we could go Z time. I'll talk about it.
You could do Z time there.
All right.
Any more revisitation, and I'll go to Sips then.
I'm
revisiting?
good.
You
I'm
good?
good.
You sure?
I'm
good.
just always impressed with Smoking Jim Frazier's hands, man. Like whenever you toss that pen, it's like
Smoking
if
Jim?
he could just take that pen and put it to paper.
And that's our
See,
little.
a 4-year-old took the pen and put that to paper.
This is some deep stuff. All right. We did the revisitation. Some of it was not what we were
The
talking
best show
about.
ever at Sips, I heard last night.
Yeah, Sips Sports Bar segment. Every Monday night, you got Pittsburgh Sports Line there. Tuesday night to the Campides. Dawn, 50 cents a slice. We need some pizza sent here in a hurry. See if they can deliver from Sips. These guys must be hungry because they're delirious over there. Wednesday night, they got their specials. Thursday night's wing night. Friday night, Saturday night, they got entertainment. And then Dave Cable called me up at 11:11 this morning, Zach. And I usually think I'm in trouble or something or whatever else because the FCC's been watching us. You got to watch when you say about the best. You got to say about the best. You can't sell anything. You can get sponsors.
No political ads.
Nah, no political stuff unless you call their opponent and have them on, even if they're in Ohio. We got all these rules that are FCC rules. I tell you it's serious, but you guys don't believe it. So he called up and he said, Talking Machine, that was one of the best shows that I've seen. He put some graphics in. He goes, that's how your sports talk show should be. So and we had a mix of, sports people and not, from a wrestler, a lady wrestler, who's Smoking Jim to this day. Everybody's the best. Everybody's in the WWE. And that's not true. She isn't in the WWE. But you have to watch it. So we didn't get in trouble for that, Smoking Jim. You can still do that. And then we almost got in trouble because we had a Bethel Park high school student on. And luckily he's friends with the family and the mother. But he saw the best eyebrows on a young lady. Now, I didn't stop you and do a disclaimer, but we were close. And I don't know where he comes up with these lines, but that was Sip Sports Bar.
That's the best show?
Well, no, that's only a tease. You didn't hear about the Umberger Performance was there. Scott Umberger. You got to check that out. Bergman was on fire.
Are you saying Birdman or Berg?
Berg.
Okay, Berg.
Bergman.
The guy that you see him on his roller skates after Pirate games,
Here, wait.
skating down Federal
With the
Street.
crazy.
Here.
Oh, that's him.
There's Bergman.
I've seen him. He was
John, with the mayor.
I've seen him on course.
This is autographed.
Well,
He knows of him.
I've seen him a number of times
At the
last
Pirate
year during
games.
the playoff games. He was rolling all up and down Federal Street and across the Clemente Bridge and everything.
And one of our favorites, Jason the Whip Willett, brought me a great drink. This wasn't that thick one because he did say that was a little too thick. He got me a blueberry smoothie with kale.
Oh yeah,
Hemp
get you
seed.
some with some
Now
sugar in it.
blueberry, yeah. Now
Yeah,
it's something with
sweet.
some taste.
blueberries.
Yeah, something with some
Yeah,
taste.
the stuff he gave
That
us,
doesn't
man,
taste like the
besides
seed.
the fact that it was devoid of taste.
Correct.
That was a great taste. It was thick.
Yeah,
It
it
was
tasted
green.
like
Yeah,
something
right.
out of the
It was
lawn.
green for Levine.
I enjoy
Yeah,
it.
you enjoyed
Yeah,
it.
you
It never
enjoyed
got
it.
out of
He
his
never
cup.
drank it.
Jim,
We had an
put it up to your
investigation.
lips
That's a
and you might
fiction,
get
in
it
fact.
down your throat.
That's a fiction
I
right
think,
there.
I think he was.
That's all fiction, no
I
fact.
think
Yep.
he was afraid his colon might go bad.
No, he was afraid.
I know. We're watching Jim Frazier, man. Like, we gotta watch him.
No,
man.
here's what he was doing. This is
many
the big
meatball
one.
hoagies.
I forget what show. I'm coming. I'll be in heaven.
that was Fred Sanford.
I know. I didn't want to tease him with that because
Is that
he
water?
might not have watched that growing
Because
up
that
like we
mixture of
did.
that drink and the French fries that Jim eats, that's a toxic. That's a toxic combination.
That it is.
Meatballs.
And that's my Sip Sports Bar. We're gonna go to
How
our
many meatball hoagies has Jim Frazier consumed over the course of 1 year at Sips?
10 because it's every 2 weeks.
Meatball hoagies going into the Hall of Fame.
No. Before I finish before we close the Sip Sports Bar down segment, I don't know what's happening, but there's like 15 Pittsburgh Sports Line Sip Sports Bar Hall of Famers coming on the 14th next Monday for their awards and whatever else Smoking Jim's
Who
lined up.
headlines that class?
Smoking Jim.
Hey, Jim's springing for the meatball hoagies. Put it on my tab.
And we have no details. I get phone calls and messages all the time. He goes, the talking machine will handle it.
Well, one day before the white party, I mean, I had all my white stuff ready to go. I had my white shoes. I was ready to go from head to toe. And the doors got chained up and the white party got canceled hours before.
Hold it, I got to bring up something. I finally committed to going there after the fireworks. Because, I mean, I just go here in Bethel Park, by the way, great fireworks. Just sat in my driveway, no white party.
Oh, thanks for that.
Because I get a message from him early in the morning. He goes, hey, talking machine, don't worry about it. Batman might leave the building early. So I'm like, okay. I scratch that idea. I agonized over that. I had white shoes. I cleaned my tennis shoes off. They were bright white. And I wore white socks. The
You
Tide
made
took
him
care
wash
of.
his New Balance.
So now, so he took care of it. Then I see him post up about 3-4 hours later. No white party. The doors were chained. The employees are gone. They're crying in the
Had to
streets.
go drive and return money all week.
I heard you had to return $83. Now, I don't know why it was $83. The tickets are all $10. There was a sign in Monroeville.
Hey, there was 8 people
Yeah, wait
and
a
a little
minute.
person.
You always heard about the hidden vigorish? Jim was taking his cut off the
Is
top.
that the juice? Is that the juice there?
You remember what Bob Prince used to call it, right?
Yeah, the hidden vigorous. And that's our segment on Sips, the White Party, the Hall of Fame. Oh, that's next Monday.
Yay!
Details are be
man.
forthcoming. I don't
I'm
know when.
so excited.
Details will be forthcoming or they won't.
Are we gonna be able to? Are we gonna be able to give speeches?
Oh yeah.
Okay.
Well, I
I'm
do
gonna
have,
start working on
I
mine.
do have MMA announcer, not Dan Bogan, but I got Grant Berger coming.
Oh, Grant.
So he's committed to that. He's the only guest that'll be on air that's not a Hall of Famer except for me. And we'll smoke.
You're
a
the
gin.
godfather of
Yeah,
Pittsburgh
but I'm not in
sports.
the Hall of Fame, and there's no problem.
I'd rather be the godfather than in the Hall
That's
of Fame.
what I said. I'm good.
I know.
I'm good. Smoking Jim does have only one vote, and he's the only vote.
Makes it easy. He's the majority of one.
There's simple math. I'll show you on air so we get that.
Is that the math they teach
Hold
you
it,
down
wait.
at Cal U?
Wait,
That's all part of your general studies, right?
here's the boxes, the names, and here's the vote. John?
And
But I do feel bad for my man Alan Levine, the talking machine.
What?
Because a lot of people have been calling him like, why am I not in the Hall of Fame?
Oh, man. You know what I'm starting
He
to
put
say?
it on the brother. He put it all on the brother.
that was a brother move.
Well, hey, you know they about to put it on the brother when they do this shit. Hey!
No.
I had nothing to
No, wait. I didn't. I didn't do it that way. I did it like he taught me because I know more about
black people than anybody.
So
I would
outdid him on it.
I would love to hear who has a quarrel with not being voted into the Hall of Fame.
Oh, there's a
Because
bunch.
in due time, you got to earn it.
Here's what I
33
say.
consecutive Mondays in a row, like that's the Iron Man streak.
It's the world record.
It was earned. It wasn't given.
Except for The Godfather. That's the world's record.
Hey,
But that's another
there
story.
wouldn't be Pittsburgh Sports Sign if it wasn't for Al Levine, the talking machine.
Thanks,
So
thanks.
that goes without saying. So
But
whether
here's
you're
your vote. This is what Smoking Jim does. If you have a problem with him, do not contact me. You can go on Facebook. He doesn't answer all his messages. Do not call him and leave a voicemail. He has 800,000 of them now.
that Hall of Fame might be one of the most legitimate things in Jim Frazier's life.
Yay! I always said
I
that,
can't believe you said that out loud.
And
I told Alan Levine, the talk machine, I'm glad you said that, Bill Z. I said,
He doesn't know who you are.
within 4 years, this will be the biggest banquet in the state of Pennsylvania, second only to the Dapper Dan. It'll surpass the Dapper Dan within 5 years, and it'll rival within 10 years the NFL Hall of Fame.
And just so everybody knows, that the NFL Hall of Fame is in Canton, Ohio. The Baseball Hall of Fame is in Cooperstown.
Where?
And SIP's
Is it
Sports Hall of Fame is in God's country.
well, in that case, if that's where the Hall of Fame is, I'm canceling my bronze bust of myself.
It's under construction. Jim's got a deal going.
I
with
can't
Jack.
have my likeness.
Donate his
Smoking
time
Jim,
and
can I
labor.
ask you any questions about the Hall of Fame?
Yes, you can.
The secret location.
It is at 6, right?
Yes, sir.
Okay. Are there going to be any awards?
Yes, sir.
Are there going to be any Hall of Fame trophies or anything? Or
Yes, sir.
is there going to be a bust of anybody?
No bus because of one.
Budget constrictions.
forget
This is a family show.
Okay.
Budget constrictions.
I was hoping
But
you'd say families.
if I
Susan
if I
Wagner.
might
No,
interject,
one guy that draws.
Vince.
if I might interject one thing, like, and one request as a member of the Hall of Fame class.
The
of
first
20
class.
Yeah, the first class. Mario Tempest's mother needs to be honored and put into that Hall of Fame because that was one of my favorite guests, and she was a great lady, and I'm a mama's boy, and Mario lost his mom, and just for the fact that she came out to the show and was a guest on the show, and is no longer with us.
92
twice,
years old.
and brought cookies.
91 years old.
Twice.
91 years old and was a guest on
And
the
she
show.
had a passion for sports that was quite evident.
And we'll do something special for her on a different day.
There you go.
One vote. Did I bring that out again? Here's your one vote. You contact them. Get it. We're done with that. We're done with that. That segment's done. We'll see you on Monday, I guess. I don't know. Unless the doors get... Nah, they won't get
And we're
locked.
going to have a special. We're going to do something special to the person that has the most people come watch them get inducted. So that's a challenge out there. But anyhow,
How about we go to our...
that was good.
How about we go to a couple of the favorite segments? The next few segments are my favorites. Fiction and Fact from Smoking Jim's Almanac.
Thanks, Alan Levine, the talking machine. I tell you what, I got chewed out early this week from. I guess he's in the Hall of Fame, but for not keeping in touch. But so we're going to get together this weekend, and that triggered my Fiction and Fact from Smoking Jim's
We can't follow
Almanac.
you anywhere,
So going. Well, this will be Friday night because I told him I got plans Saturday night. But anywho, back in the day, I'm at Heinz Field, and for a boxing match indoors at Heinz Field, and at what they call it.
It was in a tent.
The Great Hall.
Not
They
the
call that
in the Great Hall. Yeah,
It
not
was
the
in-
tent. Yeah, I
okay.
wasn't in the tent that day.
All right.
It was in the Great Hall, and I tell you what, I was with this beautiful young lady named.
What a surprise.
My co-host that day was a beautiful young lady who was a student at the time at West Virginia University named Laura Gaynor. Tell you how beautiful she was. She was even white, Al Levine. And the reason I brought
didn't
this
ask.
up, the reason I brought this
I'm
up,
not asking.
this is how beautiful this young lady was. She used to win everything that Whammo had. Any swimsuit contest, any fashion show, anything she was winning, she had the sisters mad. She went to Daytona Beach, Florida, your stomping ground, and took second in the bikini contest, a national contest down Daytona Beach. So I can clearly say she was off the charts. So she's sitting next to me, my co-host. She didn't know that much about boxing at the time,
That's
but
no
I was willing to
surprise.
work with her. But
That's no surprise.
so we're sitting there watching pro boxing. All of a sudden, my camera guy at the time, Luther Dupree, you know Al, because you know
Steel City Sports World.
because you know more about black people than anybody I know. So I know you know Luther. Luther comes up to me. He says, he points to the cheap seats. He says, "There go Roy Jones Jr." It's about 7-8 years ago. I'm like, that ain't Roy Jones Jr. He had a cheap little 22 T-shirt on. He was sitting up in the cheap section. I says, man, that ain't. He says, man, I'm telling you, I know he's my favorite fighter. That's Roy Jones Jr. So me, thinking quick on my feet, I look to my right at Laura Gaynor. I'm like, have you ever heard of Roy Jones Jr.? She said, no. I'm like, can you go ask, can we interview him on TV? What's the chances of her getting through his bodyguards and all that?
100%.
Next thing I know,
100%.
Roy Jones is sitting on a chair next to, same chair in the same chair with Laura Gaynor. He does 6 fights in a row with me, and it was a great time. And we got to be friends. Matter of fact, we went to PNC Park together. He wanted to fight a world championship fight at PNC Park, and Roy Jones Jr. has been coming here promoting fights ever since. Kind of fell in love with Pittsburgh, and he's still a fighter. In my list of top 10, which I only got 4,
What?
pound for pound, greatest fighters of all time, I would have to say Muhammad Ali, Sugar Ray Robinson, Roy Jones Jr., and Sugar Ray Leonard. If anybody does a YouTube on Roy Jones Jr., probably one of the most talented fighters of all time.
One of my
Good
favorites.
friend of mine. He'll be in town this weekend, and
I wonder if
and
it's
we're
because
gonna
of the
get
Paul
together.
Spadafora fight.
You Paul Friday night. I'll be there.
Money. Oh,
I
you'll
know.
be there?
I'll be there with Roy.
Ah.
Roy's making me go.
Is it?
And that's the fiction and facts from Smoking Jim's Almanac.
That was one of your better ones. I was able to follow some of it.
More fact.
I
Anytime there's
miss
more
you,
fact.
Laura Gaynor, wherever you're at.
Maybe she'll call in 412.
Last I heard, she
831.
moved down to Miami, so
Ah,
I might have to take a
She'll have
road
to
trip.
Skype us. She'll
What
call
is
us
that?
on Skype. I'll teach you about that later.
Woo!
All right, thanks, Smoking Jim. Now we got Chips Trivia Time.
Thank you, Alan. And I got a couple of little teasers for the All-Star game. Stay tuned next week, because next week I will have Major League Baseball All-Star trivia. But I got a couple of nuggets in for this week. And just to start it off, on July the 8th, 1941. This year is significant for a number of different things, but 1941, Ted Williams hit a 3-run homer to win the All-Star game. He became the star of that game, and a former Pittsburgh Pirate took second place. And I know Alan will recognize this guy's name, and you two won't. His name was Archie Vaughan, and he hit 2 home runs in that game, and he was the first player ever in Major League history to hit 2 home runs
What was his
in an
name?
All-Star
At that
game.
time, yeah.
Archie Vaughan. He was the very first to do that. Now, the reason why I say 1941 was significant and that Ted Williams became the All-Star MVP by hitting the 3-run homer, that also happened to be the year that the last time in Major League Baseball that a player batted over 400 for the season. Wow. Ted Williams finished the season with an average of 406.
Wow.
It has not happened since. So that caught my eye. July the 7th, 1959. The first of 2 All-Star games were played. It was played here at Forbes Field. The thing I thought that was interesting about that game is that the National League scored the tying and winning runs in the bottom of the 8th when Hank Aaron singled in a run, and he scored on Willie Mays' triple.
Wow.
So
That's awesome.
that's awesome to have that kind of talent here playing in. Also, July 8th, 1962, Stan Musial did something unusual. Because this, I don't know if this has happened since. It may have happened after the steroid era. But Stan Musial was the first player to hit 3 home runs at the age of 41 years old in a single game.
Wow.
Stan Musial was
if that's
another Hall of Famer. But Jim, this one I have from my good friend Jim,
But
because
Stan
Jim
Musial wasn't over 40 in 62, was it?
in 61, yes he was.
Was
He was
it?
41
Wow.
years old.
And he just passed?
Yeah,
Yes, he was almost in his 90s.
Yeah.
It's that good air they have down in Denora.
They close just about everything up.
Yeah. But, earlier this year, my friend Jim was criticizing the Pirates, as he's wont to do, because they decided not to sign A.J. Burnett. And A.J. Burnett pitched against his student this past Sunday, Jeff Locke, and it was a great game. Jeff Locke pitched very well, and he beat A.J. Burnett. But, one of the things that the Pirates decided not to do was they decided not to overpay A.J. Burnett, and they decided to try a reclamation project, which cost them significantly less money, which goes to my point that you don't need to spend money in baseball to be successful. That's evidenced by the fact, if you look at the Philadelphia Phillies payroll, $180 million. They are now 15 games under 500, and they don't have a chance, and they're getting ready to perform a fire sale to start dropping players. I was talking with some Philly fans over the weekend while I was at the game, and they said, you guys are doing it the right way. But here's the evidence of this.
Before or after they booed Santa Claus?
It doesn't matter.
That was Eagles fans, not Phillies fans. So here's what we did. We decided to sign Edison Volquez this year, and we decided to pay him $5 million. A.J. Burnett signed this year. He's getting paid $14.7 million. Look at their statistics for this season. This is up through Sunday. Volquez had 18 starts. A.J. Burnett had 18 starts. Volquez's record 7-6. A.J. Burnett's record 5-7. Volquez has pitched 107 innings. A.J. Burnett 117. Edison Volquez has given up 94 hits. A.J. Burnett has given up 108. Volquez has allowed 47 runs. A.J. Burnett has allowed 59. A.J. Burnett has 95 strikeouts. Edison Volquez has 72. Volquez has 39 walks, and A.J. Burnett leads the league in walks this season with 51. Volquez has had 9 quality starts. A.J. Burnett has had 10. Volquez's ERA is 3.88. Burnett's is 3.92. The opponent's batting average for Volquez is 2.39, or .239, and Burnett's is .248. Now, does it seem like paying somebody $14.7 million makes better sense than paying somebody $5 million?
It seemed like it'd be better to compare him to Leonardo. Or Lariano.
I'm the translator on this.
Lariano,
Yeah.
Well,
because you got to admit, AJ would have been better than him.
But Volquez took AJ's spot on the pitching staff. Okay, we did not sign Burnett
Put
because
Grilly
we told
on that
him,
list.
You know what? I forgot on the opening segment to revisit. Lariano has this habit of winning a Comeback Player of the Year award. So I say you don't bring him back to after the All-Star game. He'll think it's a new season,
Right?
No, and
he might come back.
No, and I honestly
You know.
think, and I believe this sincerely, that I believe Lariano will see a pitcher much like what we saw last year in the second half of this year. I do believe that he was pitching hurt the first half of the season, and he's a competitor. He wants to get out there on the mound, and he wants to do his thing. And I think now that he's had a chance to heal, that we're going to see a much more effective
I
pitcher.
hope he breaks his streak.
Well, in all fairness, when I made the bet with Vegas,
Against my better advice.
Get your better advice, and I was well on my way of winning
Heavy money.
until they brought up Greg Polanco and Jay Hay.
Well,
they weren't on there.
No,
they
Jay
weren't
Hay
Jay
on
Hay's
was
been
on.
on the roster the
at
whole
the
year.
beginning. What
Hold it.
utility?
Explain to him
Utility
how long
roster?
he's been
Oh,
playing
yes.
for
Okay.
him.
Yes, he has, and if you would pay attention to the facts, okay, because we
He wasn't
don't
starting.
want your
He wasn't
opinions to get
starting.
involved with mixed up with facts,
He
okay.
wasn't starting.
But the reason why the Pirates are playing so well is because of the contributions not only of course, MVP candidate Andrew McCutchen, but Jordy Mercer started off the year horribly. He's raised his average. He's hitting for power and he's hitting for average now, and he's playing very well. Neil Walker is having the best season of his career. Ike Davis has been a very adequate fill-in at first base. Gregory Polanco, as a matter of fact, right now is struggling in those last few games. His average has dropped down below 280. But, I mean, he's a young man, and he's going to work on it, and I believe that he will be a consistent 300 hitter. The biggest disappointment for the Pittsburgh Pirates this year, without any question, has to be Pedro Alvarez. Pedro Alvarez is struggling at the plate, and he's also struggling in the field. He leads all Major League players with errors so far this year. But I do believe that Pedro Alvarez will work through his shortcomings right now. Here's a guy that with one swing of the bat can change the course of a game. He's only sitting on 13 home runs right now. I'll still go out on a limb and say I expect him to hit 30 this year. He will get hot, and, I like what Clint Hurdle's doing. He's letting him play through this, but he's not going to allow him to lose games for us late because he's replacing him with Harrison as a late game defensive replacement. But
Harrison don't start?
Harrison has been great. He's a spot starter. He gives
All-Star game.
It doesn't matter.
he plays a number of different positions. Okay, he plays right
he's a
field, he plays
platoon.
left field, he plays second base, he plays third. And just because Clint Barmas got hurt, you will see him playing some shortstop here in the very near
Really?
future.
He even
I
warms
tried
up
to
the
educate
pitchers.
Smoking Jim last night, and you'll respect this, Chip. Back in 1979, Pirates won the World Series with one of the best, utility players, Bill Robinson.
Another
Yes.
brother.
Right, but you only know that because you
He's a
missed
brother.
Black History Month, and he was in your top 30, not your top 10. And I told him he did the same thing that Jay Hayes doing. He did so well, they couldn't keep him out of the lineup. He was a good fielder, and he was a good hitter. So they need him defensively and offensively. So it was perfect.
But, I mean, right now, with the way Jay Hayes has played, the Pirates have depth at a number of different positions that they didn't have last year. Everybody is performing, the way that I knew that they would be able to. And more importantly, back at the beginning of June, the Pirates pitching staff, their team ERA was above 4. It was 4.1, 4.2. Before Sunday's game, the Pirates pitching staff combined team ERA is at 3.7. So it is going in the right direction. Anything under 4 is good. And in the last 2 games they've played, they've only given up 2 earned runs in each game. So, it's a combination of a number of different factors, not just Gregory Polanco. He's not the savior.
Only thing I know is they were under 500 before they brought him up. That's all I know. And now they're the best team in baseball, and I'm all in.
Well, yeah, and I'm glad that you are, because there's room up in the front of the bandwagon for you. But I tell you what, if you come up front with me, you got to stay for all night.
Hey, stay in the front, man, because when that
He's not
train
gonna
wreck,
stay in the front.
when that
He's in
train
the back.
wreck happens, I
in
want
the
to
back with
I want to
me.
be on the back of the bus when the train wreck happens.
He's
you
in the
can
back
be on
with
the
me.
front for
Yeah,
once.
Jim, the game's not any long.
I'm hanging out in the
Sometimes
Is
back.
that true? Really?
Sometimes-
You better send him the memo.
sometimes
Here,
more.
write something on this.
Even if I leave early, I still listen on the radio.
Wrong.
Well,
He's listening
Yeah,
to
but
some
they don't play the
smooth
games on
music.
Whammo.
Thanks, Chip, for the trivia. And we covered the Pirates. We got the bandwagon. And he still has that in
Whammo
Vegas.
doesn't even come in that good. Let alone broadcasting a Pirate game. You can barely even hear the music.
Oh, my
He
God.
doesn't listen to Whammo.
I'll
I'll give you a secret. He doesn't listen
What's
to
he listening
Whammo.
We're just some
94.5.
silly guys right here.
All right, I guess we got to go to Z Time now. Z Time, this is the most waited for segment. It's the longest wait you've ever had. We have about 12 and a half minutes. Z Time is here.
Well, since we don't have an NBA segment because Jim Frazier likes to talk about basketball but doesn't really watch it, I'm a little bit intrigued by the thought of LeBron James returning back to Cleveland, but there's several reasons why I don't believe that it will happen, because the number one reason I believe, if he returns back to Cleveland, they're still about 2 or 3 years away from actually legitimately contending for a title. And even if you took a max deal, why would you want to go back to Cleveland where you couldn't even get over the hump and get it done? I think you just stay the course. You stay down in Miami. Let Pat Riley, who's a genius in his own right, retool the organization, retool. They already got some good players in the draft. They're going to bring in some mid-level exception free agents. And I think LeBron James stays in Miami. But on the back end, I believe Chris Bosh is on the verge of leaving Miami and going and taking a max deal with the Houston Rockets and teaming up with the Dwight Howard and those guys over there. So there's a lot of intrigue in the offseason this year in the NBA. Carmelo Anthony's being courted by the Chicago Bulls, the Los Angeles Lakers. I mean, the Heat have put in an offer, the Rockets.
And the Knicks. Don't forget about the Knicks.
Well, who wants to play for the Knicks? I don't care if Phil Jackson.
That's his home. But it's, the same way that LeBron's wife, she wants to go back home. I mean, that could have something to do with it. But I in between yawns. I mean, what's going on with this free agent? What's LeBron going to do? And I got to just tell you, I don't care. One way or the other.
Well, most people don't, especially when you're talking big money like that and leaving a city with your home for the money and getting 2 other guys to go with you. But I've been all in with them because that's how sports is today. You put it all together, you get your package of players. But I think it's a negotiating tool. Is always.
I'm going to give you a juicy fact, and this is a legitimate.
Juicy J.
This is Juicy J, Jim Frazier. This is a legitimate fact. LeBron James has left $250 million on the table since he signed on and went down to Miami. By the way they structured the contracts and him not getting. LeBron James has never been the highest paid player.
$250 million?
$250 million.
Over how many years?
Okay, let me clue you into another fact. The highest paid athlete in the world was Cristiano Ronaldo. Okay, he made I believe 84 or almost $90 million last year. LeBron James made $72 million last year because he doesn't get it in salary. He gets it from endorsements and everything else.
But
so let's
in the contract structure of the NBA, though, on that team, LeBron James is the best player on the team, and for the 4 years he's been in Miami, he has not been the highest paid player on that roster. That's ridiculous. What he does for ticket sales and what he does for jersey sales, they're making millions of dollars. You know how many playoff games they've played in Miami over the last 4 years? A lot. So there's a lot of revenue. But like I said, he's left $250 million on the table.
So I'm going to ask you a silly question, Zach, because I'm a knucklehead. So when he goes to Cleveland, are you buying a Cleveland LeBron James jersey?
Well, no, just go dust off the one that I already have.
He doesn't have to.
Because we graduated in the same year.
You didn't burn it?
No, we graduated in the same year. I've been down with LeBron James since St. Francis. I got his high school jersey. I'm a huge fan of LeBron James.
I'm just busting chops, Zach.
But it's
all good.
It's
all good.
warranted.
And it's negotiating.
At least we don't have the decision. And I think that was one of the more annoying things.
That really turned me against him because that was I just look at him as, and to this day I still look at him as just like a prima donna. But generally professional athletes, a majority of them are.
But he got good ratings for that program. I'm all about ratings.
Well, listen, I'm all about ratings.
You're just
too,
about PR,
but
good or bad. If somebody hates you, Smoking Jim goes, that's
great.
Did
you record that on your Betamax?
I got a jersey says they hate me. I just turn it around, and that's good.
But
instead of he hate me, I put they hate me.
Did you record that on your Betamax?
He did.
But what you saw in the NBA Finals and what you see in a lot of in professional sports is that it's a team game. And you could have the greatest player in the world on your team. If you don't have the role players and the complements to go along with it, sometimes you can't overcome when you run into a buzzsaw.
I'll take the hot player at the end.
Yeah, because Miami had the better team, but San Antonio.
But I want a hot player.
Miami had the better player, but San Antonio had the better team, and they played like one. And that was the difference. That was the difference in that series.
Yeah, but I want to see hot players and lucky players at the end because that level of play, they're all about the same. And it's what's in your head.
I like Ginobili. That's one of my favorite players. I like the way he shoots.
You are so full of it.
Right next to Dirk Nowitzki. Hey, we're going to talk at all about the dismantling of the Pittsburgh Penguins. It looks like they're trying to rebuild the team.
We didn't have that on there yet because we got all these things. We could chat a few minutes about it. What is that?
Former
Pitt coach, huh?
Nice.
No, but Penguins have made some very interesting maneuvers, and and here's the kind of funny thing, with the expectations for this team, and it's Stanley Cup or bust, and here's a team that got 109 points last year, and they've basically set the charges and they blew it up.
Well, it was a paper champion 2 years in a row, as we talked about. You had to look at what they changed up. You got an interim GM. for a couple years to set the table. You
And-
brought in a couple tough guys.
Yeah, then we know what, and I really think that we're not going to see the Pittsburgh Penguin team that will either go forward in the playoffs or not, probably until January or February, because there's it's going to be interesting to see how this team meshes, and and the pressure is on now, Crosby and Malkin, to actually play like they are getting paid. They're supposed to be the best players in hockey, highest paid. They need to start producing on a more consistent basis.
I agree. And to me, a first year of a coach, that's a good time in hockey. It's different than any other sport. Because the last year you had a coach, they get a little crazy and don't do as well. How are we looking there? Are we having any technical difficulties? Keep rolling. Okay. Looks like we have some time here. No, but the Penguins, I think, will be all right. I think they will go to the Stanley Cup because, to me, they're doing all the right things. They're a year late in doing it. And, we're going to get people healthy again. Whatever happened to Crosby, there's rumors that he may go to that sports psychologist that Fleury went to.
Penguins are the Miami Heat.
Are they?
Well, and then this
And they didn't repeat.
And I'd like to bring up a point about what the Penguins did, because I was having some conversations
come
with
up
some
with?
people. The Penguins, went all in, and they mortgaged their future and to try to win the Stanley Cup the last 2 years.
Yeah.
And they failed miserably, and they've handcuffed the franchise moving forward because now they've got so much money tied up and so few players. And you hear people now saying that the Pirates are finally, in contention. Oh, we need to start trading. We need to start giving away all of our prospects and bringing in some, some veterans. And I don't really think that the Pirates need to make any moves whatsoever. I think we've got a lot of depth in the minor league system. We've got a lot of depth on the major league roster. It doesn't mean that they're not going to make a trade. But you know what?
There will be a couple rental players.
The team that we have right now that sits in the dugout tonight at Busch Stadium, this team is going to make some noise, and they are going to fight for the Central Division Championship. We're going to have a really, really great August and September watching a playoff run. I'm going to sit back and enjoy it because this is all I've ever wanted from the Pittsburgh
Let's
Pirates.
talk about a team that has done it because, I have seen the first half of the season when the Pirates had no fight. But listen,
This year.
the Penguins, you can't convince me that Crosby only took $8.7 million, and he did that so that the Penguins could win championships. And they failed to win championships, and that's on everybody but Crosby.
Interesting point, Smoking Jim.
No,
That's deep.
That's not.
That was
no,
deep.
When the
I went
world's
to the
greatest
bottom of
hockey
the ocean
player.
for that one.
That was
When the
deep.
world's. No.
No, you know what?
No.
Here's
When
here's-
LeBron James has to step to the podium because he fell, and came up short, Sidney Crosby has the same humility as being one of the greatest players in the world. You came up short. You didn't get it done on the biggest stage.
None of these guys are bulletproof. They're all subject to criticism because expectations are made of them. And you know what? I mean,
But the great ones get it done.
But I mean, yes, Sidney Crosby is open for criticism, even though he was the best player on the team last year. He disappeared in the playoffs. And I don't know what was wrong
But
with
he
him,
might be good,
where
not
his
great.
head was. But you know what? That's where you make your legacy, right there in the playoffs, not what you do in the regular
Like
season.
Zach said, all the great ones do. And all the hot ones do at the end. The lucky ones at the end,
Mm-hmm.
they make those three-pointers. They make that goal that's a hard shot.
Well,
The
Sidney-
goaltender saves a couple.
Sidney already won the Stanley Cup. Am I
Won.
correct?
Yeah.
Won. He's a champion.
Yeah, well, yeah.
I mean, everybody fails in comparison to Wayne Gretzky. He
Smoking
set the
Jim
ball
has
back
two
there.
personalities
Mario
on judging
Lemieux.
people. Just so you know, he has two personalities.
You know who number
If
66
he's betting
is?
on you and you're not winning, you're no good. If you're a nice
That's
guy
why we
and you
can
want a
never have a horse with
championship,
this guy, because it'd be like go to the glue factory.
yeah.
Little Pittsburgh.
I want to
sports
get
line,
the Pittsburgh
to the glue
Sports Line
factory.
horse. They don't win every race. We were just going to do that, get the Pittsburgh Sports Line horse until you brought that up, Zach.
What's the Pittsburgh Sports Line horse's name? Old Glue?
Pittsburgh Sports Line. He's not born yet. We don't know. We gotta
Elson
He's out there
Brain's only the
somewhere.
size of a peanut.
walnut.
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 A Brazil.
That's a magnificent creature to have a brain the
Brazil
size
guy.
of a walnut.
Well, I'm not going to judge any people by the size of their brain, Smoking Jim, just their performance.
Yeah,
sir.
there's no
Right?
brain
Hey,
here,
this
man.
is just in.
Whoa.
Brazil texts me. She says, all the fans for Germany are okay. She was at the game. Thank you.
She finally reappeared.
She finally reappeared.
In the Amazon. Brazil come out of the Amazon. You know what? That's about it for our show. We got about 40 seconds left. We got Zach Brenner, Smoking Jim Frazier with multiple personalities and multiple ways that you root for your
Juicy
team.
J.
Definitely CBC Contracting. Chip's back with plenty of Bucko talk. Go
Yes, sir.
Bucks.
Yes,
I'm
sir.
with you on that.
He keeps
I like the
the Buccos
purple
alive.
Kool-Aid, Mario Tempest. I enjoy that. Not anything else. Unsweetened is fine by me. We have a Jessica Lee show on Smoking Jim Frazier's birthday, the
Out of 4
17th.
on Friday.
Next Thursday, it's Stone Pepper's Grill on 19. Smoking Jim has a birthday with Jessica Lee performing.
Oh, is the doors going to be chained?
No, this place has been in business right here in Bethel Park. Thanks for watching the show. Have a nice night. Safe drive.